So, especially what would happen in the economy very recently, after all the inflation and everything, it's even worse now. But like the way that the U.S. economy is, it really does not favor people in the working class, people with normal jobs. Like right now, the prices of houses are insane, and well, the price of everything is insane. And this kind of happened all over the world, I think, not just in the US, at least the inflation part of everything. And at the same time, the wages have not gone up really, barely at all for like normal people with normal jobs. Now, I don't want to make this video so people can act like a victim or complain. I just want to make this video to help people be aware of this and to give you ideas of how you can kind of counteract this. Now, like the way that the tax laws are, and just the way that a lot of the laws are in the US are not for favoring working class people. They're for favoring business owners. They're for favoring wealthy people that actually make the laws. Now, say like a lot of wealthy people, it's pretty well known, I think, that they barely pay any money in taxes, a lot of them, because there's all these loopholes, there's all these strategies that they can use to do this completely legally. But a person with a normal job, such as, a doctor is a good example, they make so much money, and the more money you make, the higher percentage of taxes you have to pay. If you have like a normal job, like someone being a doctor ends up having to pay like 40% to 50% of their earnings just going to taxes, which is insane. While someone like a millionaire, billionaire might barely pay any percent of their money in taxes. It's completely unfair, the system, but this is how it works. And another thing I saw in a video that someone else made, which I never quite thought of it in this way, but this actually happened to me with the last business that I had, is when certain things go up in prices, say like houses, this is very bad for the average person that wants to buy a house for their family. But for someone such as a real estate investor that buys houses and then rents them out to people, when those prices inflate, the people that already owned the houses before the prices inflated, well, now their net worth just went way up in value. And this stuff hurts the normal working class person. The wealthy people who own assets benefit insanely from this type of stuff. And with me, the last business I had was like a rental car sort of thing. And I bought a few cars before the prices of cars went way up. And the cars that I had, the really cheap cars, so if you're aware of the car market, the prices of cars have dropped a lot. But with cheaper economy cars, the prices of those really haven't come down at all, maybe slightly, but barely. And the prices of those basically doubled, like overnight almost. So like cars are usually they depreciate pretty quickly. They're depreciating, even though they weren't assets for me, I was still bringing in money from them. Usually they depreciate a lot. But what happened to me is I got really lucky as well. I didn't know this would happen, but I owned a few cars, and then when the prices of cars went up, basically my net worth basically just doubled overnight. And while everyone else was suffering from the inflation and all this stuff and they couldn't buy cars, my net worth doubled. Also, what happened after the coronavirus for about a couple years was during the lockdown, the rental market was horrible. Nobody was really renting cars. The prices were really, really low. But then right when the lockdown was lifted, people started traveling again, the prices of rental cars went insane. So I was able to make like a very good amount of money from that. And while for the average person, the prices of rental cars going up was a really bad thing, I was just able to make more money. And this is while all this inflation happened and all that sort of stuff. While everyone else was suffering, my business was doing good, and I was able to not just keep up with the inflation, but actually make even more money compared to the inflation. And this is because I didn't have a normal job. Like I was, sort of like a business owner. And it's completely unfair, but this is the way it is. So if you want to like counteract this and you want to be someone who's not in the working class, the very least you could do is just have some sort of side hustle, some way of counteracting income tax and things like that. Because really what you want to do is be aware of the system and how it works and work to get out of it. And you don't necessarily have to be like a business owner. Like I was saying, you can have some sort of side hustle. You can do a YouTube channel or whatever, something like that. Just start something on the side that's your own business rather than working for someone else. You can also like read a book like The Rich Dad, Poor Dad and just learn how to like invest money better, because the thing is, even like saving for retirement now, everybody saw what happened with inflation during the coronavirus. It went insane. So like even if you have a really good, like a good portfolio for your retirement, your savings that's earning like a 10% return, it still would have pretty much went like not even kept up with inflation over the last couple of years when the inflation went insane. And you really like say you need more of an entrepreneur type of mindset to beat the inflation and to beat the system like this. You need to invest in some sort of your own business or some sort of business type of thing where you can get better returns on your money than just sticking it into the stock market and waiting. Because, and I'm going to be honest, that's a lot better than nothing. Even just saving money and not investing it is better than nothing. You do need some sort of money. And a lot of people, they're just not going to have the sort of mindset where they're ever going to do anything like this, like be an entrepreneur or do things that are against the system. Like to do this stuff, you have to think very, very uniquely. You can't just think how everyone else does. You have to be very unique and think differently, or this stuff is never going to work. Like most people would see a video like this and just probably take more of a victim mindset and complain about it, complain that big corporations suck. Yeah, it's true, they kind of do. But if you want to better this stuff, like you just have to learn how the system works and then work with the system, or you're never going to better it. Because I don't want to see people get like this, not have any retirement income, waste their whole life working a normal job, and then have nothing in their future have nothing to show for it. And if you work with the way that the economy is kind of set up and the system is now, where you go to college, you work a normal job, that's what's going to happen. Like the ways how they used to be when the U.S. economy is very strong, we could work a normal job, buy a house, and then have a lot of money in your retirement. This is kind of going away. And a lot of it too had to do with the money printing. Like a lot of the inflation was just due to how much money the U.S. government printed in the U.S. And the sad part is they kind of printed it and gave this money to the sort of lower middle class people or poorer people to help them out. But the thing is in the long run, this is a lot of what caused inflation, and then it helped cause asset inflation. So in the long run, it ended up helping the wealthy people and then hurting the more poor people that were given the money, which is very sad and very unfair, but that's just the truth of it. Like, this is what happened. So I just want people to be aware of this and try and do something to counteract this phenomenon that just happens.